Hello and welcome to my presentation entitled Worldbuilding through Transmedia Storytelling. This talk is a distillation of a formal research paper which is available online. I have also included a link to the paper at the end of this slideshow. This talk focuses on the evolution of storytelling with the digitization of media and the proclivity of interactivity and participation with mediated communications online. More specifically, we're going to discuss how transmedia narratives can leverage world building as an engagement tool for audiences and a narrative technique. As a note, this presentation was created on behalf of the social media course requirements for the Media and Communication graduate program at Rutgers University, circa 2018. Here is an outline for our presentation. We will start by briefly discussing the context of media saturation, consumption, and production within the information era. Then we will characterize transmedia storytelling based on working definitions and current practices within the industry. This will lead us into world building and the active development of story worlds as an amalgam of marketing and entertainment strategies across online, transactional, and social networks. Extending into the fragmentation and socialization of storytelling, we will then review how the internet and social media has democratized content creation and distribution. Afterwards, I will attempt to simplify how engagement can occur via world building through transmedia storytelling by highlighting the fundamental philosophy and key functions behind its practice, and why social media is an ideal medium for this operation. Finally, we will end on some final thoughts surrounding mainstream trends in content narratives, including deep media. The internet has completely transformed the way we create, share, and experience media today, fragmenting our consumption and socializing our exchange of culture. This techno-social lifestyle is the product of advancements in mobile communication, social media networking, and the advent of the internet, which have enmeshed technology and society in a reciprocal, cyclical relationship. Transmedia storytelling complements the decentralized and fragmented ecosystem of the internet, allowing content creators to create overarching narratives, new modes of presentation, and social integration with a degree of audience participation, interaction, and even collaboration across multiple platforms and formats. Thus, this process serves as an extension for world building, as content is systematically dispersed across multiple channels, creating a singular and coordinated entertainment experience. Supercharged by technology, the web is constantly growing and has fundamentally changed how we communicate and share information. Social media has had the most profound effect on society and our public life, especially in regard to social capital. Now, more than a quarter of the world's 7 billion human population are active on Facebook, adrift in an ocean of information and content, as 2.5 quintillion bytes of data are created daily from users alone. Although social networking sites have consolidated audiences and communities, it has also fragmented our attention and complicated matters of choice. However, in the era of collective intelligence and network societies, transmedia storytelling is an ideal aesthetic form that offers different points of entry for users and the possibility of co-creation. So, what is transmedia storytelling? Although there are tons of definitions, I like to refer to Henry Jenkins, who's considered the godfather of transmedia storytelling and coined the term. He says transmedia storytelling is a powerful technique for developing and dispersing a narrative structure across multiple platforms. It takes full advantage of the eclectic digital landscape to bring greater institutional coordination, added narrative integrality, and deeper engagement to the consumption of our culture. Transmedia storytelling is essentially serialized production of a singular source material across ancillary markets and various platforms, offering unique experiences and diverse consumption. As a result, the entertainment and advertising industries have reoriented to involve transformative exchange and network collaboration across the internet, social media, film, television, video games, comic books, mobile applications, music, merchandising, literature, and throughout many other platforms. On the surface, transmedia storytelling has three primary benefits that I've attributed here. First and foremost, the multiple entry points. Because it's spread on so many different medias and mediums, it has the chance to hit different and diverse audiences better, and has a way better spread for exposure across the internet. The second is network collaboration, which we'll get into on future slides. But the key point here is interaction and collaboration are increased because the way this content is shared and moderated by the users. The third is that it satisfies curiosity, which is something that we've seen in audience trends called deep media. This is the expansion of narratives overall, episodics, long format television. So there's something to be said about how transmedia can really satiate some of the passions and immersions that we seek to have in our stories and media today. Today, cultural productions is really a hybrid process. Although dispersing uniform content across various media outlets is not inherently unique in the information era, many marketing and branding strategies aim to achieve some widespread and consistent messaging. We see this in branding. We see this in different franchising and marketing efforts. Addressing audiences and constructing identities across different platforms online, even for us as individuals, has a degree of deliberate performativity. However, this type of orchestrated and multilateral presentation is not altogether transmedia storytelling. Rather, transmedia storytelling is achieved when elements of a story or fiction are extended through separate intermediaries, all with their own unique contribution, which unfold to create a collective experience. So this is different than, say, novelization, where a film is just turned into a book. As previously mentioned, culture production and consumption has splintered from traditional markets, as social media and the internet has fundamentally changed communication and the information economy. Similar to franchise models, which spread resources aligned through social relation, interest, and brand identity among a network of stakeholders, transmedia storytelling extends, adapts, and transforms content through social exchange and spreadable media. As consumers, we are cognizant of companies like Nike or Marvel using story worlds as a means of brand development and engagement, expanding off the borders of a cinema screen. We can experience and sometimes participate in entire fictional cosmologies online. Exhaustive wikis, fan-centered content on social media, and a wide range of other technologies give us greater context and color, weaving a tapestry of continuity for these worlds and inviting us to fill in the blanks with our own journey. For example, in the Lord of the Rings franchise, pieces of information are conveyed through 6 live-action films, a series of graphic novels, 8 books, and several video games. There's no single source or urtext where one can go to gain all of the information needed to comprehend the Middle-earth universe. So transmedia storytelling and world building is a process that emerged from entertainment and advertising strategies in the 21st century, different ways in which we can spread our messaging throughout media, but to have some sort of continuity. Consequently, transmedia storytellers and content creators build brand or story worlds that tie experience and every communication back to a shared universe or message. Although world building is a subset of storytelling, which expands upon setting alone, it has more potential for online engagement and autonomy in user experience on the internet. World building as an extension of transmedia stories blur the line between marketing and entertainment, as a piece enhances a user's experience and also serves different functions specific to the method of delivery. This practice specifically leverages the splintered configuration of modern entertainment industry and even forgoes classically constructed narratives, which are actually becoming less popular amongst consumers today, to offer audiences a greater sense of realism and immersion. Transmedia stories become unique to the individual's collective sum of episodes and experience, giving way to comprehensive insight and the captivation of world building. As an illustration, the characters from Sherlock, a British crime drama television series, post to a virtual blog that pair each case and provide additional context and color to each episode. Similarly, Ridley Scott's Prometheus created a fictional TED Talk given by a fictional character, Peter Whalen, in the year 2023. And although this video was released before the film and used as a marketing tool, it's extremely story-driven, as it ties into the Ridley Scott's Alien universe and prequels to Prometheus and helps usher viewers into the world. Lost is another great example of story worlds and self-discovery online, as it has tons of content on the web, which include maps, blogs, character insights, webisodes that help give the user their own sense of experience and discovery that pairs with the main content of the show. Social media platforms further enable storytellers to deliver their content and build fictional worlds in new and exciting ways. As we have discussed, transmedia creators offer to their audiences a very intricate narrative world. But their aim is also to have audiences become engrossed in these fictions, taking possession of that world and developing it independently. Social media has proliferated fandom and user-generated content around these fictions and worlds, which can even be led to crowdsourced spin-offs and funding. Never being officially greenlit by a studio, a timely leak of test footage for Deadpool by director Tim Miller and actor Ryan Reynolds prompted widespread enthusiasm, a fervent response from fans online, and eventually spurred Fox into bringing the project to box office. Social media has made the influence of fans and media consumers more overt. The internet and social media have democratized access to content creation and distribution tools. In regard to transmedia, these technologies have transformed the relationship between creators and consumers by facilitating a dialogue and enabling cooperation. More than mere spectators, fans can now share and show their liking or criticism through social media, including blogs and forums that generate. Furthermore, participants gather information and share in collective journeys and hybrid experiences to better understand these fictions amongst their communities. Levy advocates that art in a period of collective intelligence, like our network society, functions as a cultural attractor, which draws like-minded users together to create these communities. So the three main takeaways I have for social media and co-creation in regards to storytelling is number one, crowdsourcing. We talked about engaging a collective data from a group or community, and this isn't just used for analytics to give insights to content creators. This can also be a driving force behind the creation of content, and not just funding, also creative control. Fan fiction is another great example. Gaps or voids discovered in these narratives are actually explored by communities and filled in, reimagined at their own stake. Finally, user-generated content, which is a majority of the internet now. Audiences have collective agency, as services depend on their digital labor of its users. Just think of Instagram, YouTube, Wikipedia. All of these solely depend on the user's labor. Stories are universal and integral to our culture, but the way we tell them has evolved with the emergence of each new technology. Uniquely, social media can act like all of its media predecessors. It can be experienced through audio, video, text. Fostered by the internet, social media is also non-linear, interactive, and immersive. Furthermore, world-building and transmedia storytelling is underpinned through hyperlinks, paratext, and meta-content, which all deepens the possibility for engagement. In stride with our technosocial lifestyles, transmedia storytelling and world-building complement our impulse for storytelling in a mechanism that rewards participation and offers extravagant discovery. The digitization of media has completely reshaped industries, audiences, and production practices for the last 20 years. The versatility, interactivity, and mobility of media have completely converged, changing social structures and the way information is disseminated. Today, there is no one medium to which specific media content belongs, and the higher the fluidity of a media text, the more it widens its consumption. Ergo, world-building appeals to consumers and creators alike. As George Lucas observed when he was creating Star Wars, it offers a, quote, immaculate reality, spread across multiple channels that allow consumers to choose their own path and level of involvement. So here I have the two main philosophies behind world-building. First and foremost, like transmedia, it forges digital experiences. Because of the current digital topography, media consumers become hunter and gatherers, surveying various media outlets and platforms, trying to stitch together a deeper understanding. As a result, we as content creators should focus on the totality of experiential design over the novelty and nuances of specific technological mediums. So here I have a process which involves story, real-world, elements of game design, and co-creation in a cyclical relationship, all of which we should consider when we're creating stories or story worlds. The second philosophy behind world building and transmedia storytelling is the connection of narratives. In transmedia storytelling, engagement with each successive media heightens the audience's understanding, enjoyment, and affection for the story. The embodiment of the story in each media needs to be satisfying in its own right. Enjoyment from the entire narrative experience should be greater than the sum of its parts. And again, this is different than specific distillations or novelizations of source material. Each media should offer its own unique insight, and therefore users can explore and feel a sense of reward as they dive further and further into these narratives. Social media isn't just an ideal medium for the granular diversification and channeled expression of narrative worlds found in transmedia storytelling, but also these stories to be enriched, reproduced, and easily shared through their transactional networks. Audiences now have collective agency in social media's participatory culture, as we discussed, and many services depend on their digital labor. Because a majority of content on social media is distributed by individuals, transmedia storytelling recruits the audience as co-authors of the brand narrative without knowing for certain where it will lead. Consequently, transmedia storytellers and content creators build a brand or story worlds that tie experience and every communication back to a shared universe. By providing foundational context and blended content for experience, transmedia storytellers set users adrift among an invented landscape of virtual touchpoints orbiting a central message, brand, or theme. Departing from the linear path of traditional storytelling, like a hero's journey, world-building supplants structure for community, lending itself to shared experiences and social sharing. Effective world-building becomes a storytelling practice where plot actually becomes secondary to design. Moreover, this narrative model has the potential to capture diverse audiences and communities through synergy, immersion, and interaction. Because of their dependency on social exchange, transmedia storytelling and world building can be influenced by cultural production mechanisms. World building through transmedia storytelling is an approach to audience engagement online that combines story and experience. World building is a narrative design philosophy that is ushered through multi-platform configuration of the internet, especially social media. Social media platforms have introduced unprecedented levels of user content, customization, personalization, and interactivity, such that attention has become the real economy of people. Therefore, world building offers media consumers a pervasive, participatory, connected experience of their favorite brand or familiar fiction. In conclusion, media technologies have always changed the way we experience and share stories, but now wikis, blogs, and social media have given audiences an opportunity for co-creation, and transmedia storytelling leverages these platforms to create dynamic narratives and virtual worlds. The last notes I have here is to really consider the evolution of deep media and deep narratives in today's society. Ever since The Sopranos on HBO, we have seen a very hard attraction from audiences towards longer format television and episodics, and this is a trend we don't see going anywhere, especially with video on demand and streaming services. The second takeaway here is exploration. The internet and social media have made content more accessible and user autonomy more prevalent. Just consider your own interactions with media and the internet, how you discover stories. What's your favorite worlds to get immersed in? Thanks so much for listening to my presentation on world building through transmedia storytelling. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to me. The following slides will list some of my citations and also a link to the research paper itself. Thanks again.